See, I was interested in the soccer tournament to the extent that Germany beat Brazil on Brazil's home turf. See, Brazil, as much as people of color, and especially black people, want to blind themselves and say there's no racism, white supremacy in Brazil, that's a lie. Black people in Brazil might as well be in South Africa. Before the so-called ending of apartheid, meaning white supremacy. White supremacy is still in South Africa, but the most vicious elements of racism, white supremacy, just like the most vicious elements of racism, white supremacy, to some extent, have been modified in this area of the world. But Brazil, black people can't go to restaurants. They have to stay in their part of town, essentially. I mean, Brazil has one of the highest black populations on the planet. But you don't see them when you see pictures of the crowds at the soccer tournament. So I say that symbolically speaking, white supremacy Germany was supposed to beat Brazil because they practice their little non-white level of white supremacy, pushing the black people off in the corner so that black people hate even being referred to as black. They trick the black people into thinking it's just a matter of income. But if you can make it so that no black person has a high level of income and tell them it's not race, it's income. But it is about race. Black people who went to the soccer games and tried to go to a restaurant until the person at the door realized that they were Americans and spoke English, they weren't going to let them in. And then they only let them in reluctantly because they were black. So Brazil was beaten by white supremacy Germany. And maybe that'll make them look at the tragedy of the white supremacy practices that exist in Brazil. But, you know, white supremacy is global. But that's why it's important to talk about wherever it is. It should be identified as such, that this is something that should not exist on this planet. And again, it's not about hating white people, but it's, hating the racism, white supremacy system of injustice, and that's not good for anybody.